Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Warrior Field in Kelmer. Tonight, the Decorah Vikings are here to battle the South Winneshiek Warriors in high school baseball. Excuse me. The Vikings are 10-4 on the season. The Warriors 13-0 so far this season. These two teams met exactly 2 weeks ago in Decorah, and South Winneshiek won that game 6-1. Carson Streeter for the Warriors pitched a two-hitter and had a dominating performance that night. Streeter will start again tonight against the Vikings. It will be Gus Pohl starting for the Vikings. Hi, everybody. I'm Randy Iverson, and I am sure glad to be with you tonight for this Highway 52 rivalry, the Vikings and the Warriors. It should be another great night of high school baseball as we are getting set to go. Big shout-out to Olaf Johnson back at the studios, making sure we can get all of this going. Two different games going at once. So thank you, Olaf, very much. Appreciate it. Kari listening and monitoring at home as well. Thank you very much as we are getting set to go here. As we said, the Warriors perfect so far on the season, 13-0, and the Vikings, boy, have been playing very strong as of late. They are 10-4 on the season, so should be a great matchup here. We'll have starting lineups here in just a second. We'll take a quick commercial break, thanks to both our South Winneshiek and Decorah baseball sponsors.
South Winneshiek Sports brought to you in part by Green Lawn Care, K Company Ag, your Pioneer dealer, Chuck Service in Oshet, Citizen Savings Banks of Port Atkinson, Spillville, and Protivin, Southwind Insurance, Heritage Mutual Agent, Howard's Tire and Repair, Fidelity Bank and Trust in Kelmer and Oshet, Dietzenbach Financial of Kelmer, Pivo Brewery and Blipta Studios, Superior Building Center of Kelmer and Monona, Becker Hardware, and Dave's Collision Shop. South Winneshiek Sports.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Let's take a look at the starting lineups here for the Decorah Vikings, the visiting team. Leading off and pitching tonight will be number 17, Gus Pohl. Batting second and playing in left field will be number 6, Grant Knutson. Batting third and playing shortstop, number 14, Kason Tyler. Batting fourth and batting in the fourth spot will be the center fielder, number 1, Gavin Knutson. Batting fifth and catching will be number 2, Trevor Kennan. Batting sixth and playing first base, number 23, Ethan Kennan. Batting in the seventh spot will be the designated hitter, number 9, Rex LaFrenz. He'll be batting for the right fielder, number 27, Elliot Berland. Batting in the eighth spot will be number 3, Caden Hubka. He's at third base. And batting ninth will be number 7, Lucas Weimer. He's at second base. Head coach Alex Zwanziger for the Vikings, assisted by Ryan Tyler and Ethan Pohl and Brian Solberg. That's the starting lineups for the Decorah Vikings. For your South Winneshiek Warriors, leading off and in center field will be number 14, that is Jordan Eink. Batting second will be the catcher, number 4, Braden Todd. Batting third and pitching will be number 23, Carson Streeter. Batting fourth and playing left field will be number 1, Jamie Zweibaummer. Batting fifth and playing in right field is number 7, Eric Grieve. Batting sixth and playing in second base is number 17, and that is Sid Hesse. Batting seventh and playing third base is number 12, Hayden Teescotter. Batting in the eighth spot is a designated batter. That's number 22, Caden Meyer. He is batting for the first baseman, number 10, William Timp. And batting ninth and playing shortstop, number 24, Carver Windholt for the Warriors. Of course, head coach Alex Smith, assisted by Carter Windholt and Justin Iser. And before we get any farther, a big shout-out to the South Winneshiek Booster Club. Thanks for the cheeseburger and the Gatorade. Sure appreciate that. And so I saw Becky Walls here. She is taking pictures for the Decorah newspaper. And so now, ladies and gentlemen, we'll get set to go as we have all of the players on the field, and we will honor America with the national anthem.
Sports, brought to you in part by Kingpin Entertainment Center, Boltmer Electric, Dental Associates of Decorah, Farm Bureau Insurance Agent Mike Rakitich, Pennington Repair and Sales, JB Holland Construction, Raymond James de Cuvalier and Brent Van Sloten, Elliott Jewelers, Epic Wear, Oneota Financial, Olson Explosives, Countywide Plumbing and Heating, Decorah Bank and Trust, and Hubden Oil.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We are about set to go here. The Decorah Vikings taking on the South Winneshiek Warriors. Of course, we are at Warrior Field here in Kelmer. What a beautiful night. It is just perfect. There's just a few high clouds in the sky, but boy, weather is terrific. About 66 degrees right now and just a slight breeze, maybe about 7-8 miles an hour blowing from left field to right, and we are set to go. Glad you're with us. The Vikings, the visitors, they will bat first here as we get set to go. The Vikings and the Warriors here in this great Highway 52 rivalry matchup. It'll be Gus Pohl leading it off for the Vikings here. Gus Pohl, a .270 hitter on the season. 6 runs batted in for Gus. We are set to go, and here is the first pitch from Carson Streeter. A swing and a miss for strike one. Big shout out to John Kurt listening, hopefully here tonight as well. So we'll have him. Hopefully he can be on the air with me tomorrow night on the Decorah doubleheader, taking on Cedar Rapids Kennedy. Here's the 0-1 pitch from Streeter, and that's a called strike on the inside corner. And Gus is behind in the count 0-2 here quickly. We'll talk about Streeter's stats in just a second. Here is the 0-2 pitch now, Streeter versus Pohl. And there's a ground ball hit towards Hesse at second base, fires over to first, and he's got the out there. 4-3 for out number one. Streeter on the season. Let's take a look at his stats. He's 3-0 on the season. He's pitched 17 and 1/3 innings. He has given up 4 hits, 3 runs, 2 earned runs. He's walked 7 and struck out 28 and has a 0.81 ERA. Next batter up for the Vikings is Grant Knutson. Takes the first pitch outside for ball one. We are just underway here from Kelmer. Great crowd on hand. Boy, they have really a big crowd out in left field and center as well. Second pitch outside as well for the count of 2-0 as the Vikings' second batter of the game, Grant Knutson, at the plate. Here is the 2-0 pitch, and that's high for ball 3. So 3-0 is the count now to Grant Knutson. Grant, a .432 hitter so far on the season. He's got 8 runs batted in. And a little time here, they throw out one of the baseballs there. It's got a little mark or something on it. And so we're going to be set to go here. As we said, wind blowing from left field to right field. Here's the 3-0 pitch. And that's in there for a called strike. 3 balls and a strike now to the second batter of the game, Grant Knutson here for the Vikings in the top of the first. And that pitch is outside, ball 4. And the Vikings have their first base runner of the ball game. So the Vikings have now Kaysen Tyler at the plate. A .421 hitter on the season. He's got 11 runs batted in. Both of these teams have a lot of youth on their squads, and we'll talk more about that as the game goes. So runner at first, 1 out. Here's the pitch, and that's low for ball 1. So Streeter on the mound here, goes from the stretch. Runner at first base is Grant Knutson. Kaysen Tyler at the plate. He is a sophomore for the Vikings. Here's the 1-0 pitch now from Streeter, and that's high and tight for ball 2. Streeter at Decorah. Boy, he had amazing control that night, but every night is different, and so we'll see what happens here. 2 balls and no strikes to Kaysen Tyler. Grant Knutson at first base. We'll see. This is a 2-0 pitch. See if they have him started up. Nope, they don't. And there's the pitch, and that's a strike on the outside corner. And the count goes to 2 balls and 1 strike. Both of these teams busy. Both have double headers tomorrow night. The South Winneshiek Warriors host Waukon, and the Vikings host Cedar Rapids Kennedy, one of the top teams in Class 4A. Here's the 2-1 pitch, and there's a base hit out into left field. And the Vikings have 2 runners on, their first hit of the ball game. And so Knutson is on at second base and Tyler at first. And now Gavin Knutson steps to the plate, a .444 hitter on the season. He leads the Vikings in runs batted in with 17. He is a junior for the Vikings, bats from the right-hand side. So 2 on, 1 out for the Vikes. And there's a ground ball hit to Hesse again. Now a bad hop, and everybody's going to be safe there as that ball jumped off the lip and went up, hit him on the chest. And we'll have to see how they're going to rule that one. Okay, they're going to call it a hit. All right. So another base hit for the Vikings. Their second. Now the bases are loaded for the Vikings here with 1 out, and Trevor Kennan, at the plate for the Vikings. So Trevor Kennan at the plate, a .314 hitter, is second in runs batted in, tied with his brother at 14. So bases loaded, 1 out for the Vikings. Kennan at the plate, Trevor Kennan. Here's the first pitch from Streeter. And he's going to bunt it. It's a nice bunt. They're going to go to first base, get the out. The Vikings, and they drop the ball at first base. Here comes their second runner in, and he is going to be out at home and safe at third. So on the bunt by Kennan, he bunts it down to first base, or towards first base. The pitcher, Streeter, picks it up, fires to first, but it was dropped at first base for the first error of the ball game. And the Vikings score 1 run as Knutson comes in from third. And then Tyler tries to score, and he's thrown out at home for out number 2. And so the Vikings will now have runners at the corners. So Gavin Knutson is at third base and Trevor at first with 2 outs here. And so now the Vikings on the board with a run in the top of the first. And Ethan Kennan at the plate. He also has 14 runs batted in, and he's got 2 runners on base for him right now. Here's a pitch from Streeter, and that's a curveball on the outside corner for strike 1. So Kennan, a .310 hitter on the season for the Vikings, calls time. Gavin Knutson at third base. Here is the 0-1 pitch now. Streeter takes a look over at first base, now comes home, and that's outside for ball 1. 1 ball and 1 strike for Ethan Kennan here. In the top of the first, the Vikings have a run in, and this is the second pitch. There's a ground ball. That's going to be hit foul down the right field line there, and the count now is 1 ball and 2 strikes. Hayek running at first base now for Kennan. So Ray Hayek at first base. Ethan Kennan at the plate. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Vikings trying to push some more through Southwind. There goes the runner. They're going to throw it down. No, they fake the throw down, and Hayek gets a stolen base. So Hayek puts 2 runners in scoring position now for the Vikings with 2 outs here. 2-2 count now to Ethan Kennan, the first baseman for the Vikings. Streeter takes a look. We're broadcasting on 94.9. There's a swing and a miss for strike 3, and that's going to end the inning. But the Vikings get 1 run on 2 hits, 1 error, and 2 runners left on base. We're going to take this quick break. We'll be right back.
South Winneshiek Sports brought to you by La Luena Savings Bank, Community Insurance of Iowa and Oshet, Hawkeye Telephone Company, Drilling's All Season Sports, Paramount Insurance Group, Kelmer, Neil's Auto Body, U2 Barbecue, Quick Auto Repair, and Mark Smith Electric and Solar. Decorah Sports brought to you in part by Jason Knox and Associates, Casper Plumbing and Heating, Truck Country, Plan One Financial, Wicks Construction, Car Auto Group, Perry Nopok Electric and Solar, The Whippy Dip, Riser Financial, Viking State Bank and Trust, Finhall Construction and Triad Kitchens, Benefits Inc., Bruning Rock Products, and Wise GMC. Decorah Sports, brought to you in.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Let's take a look for the Vikings. It'll be Gus Pohl on the mound. Gus is 3-0 on the season. He has pitched 6 1/3 innings. He has given up 6 hits, 3 runs, only 2 earned runs. He's walked 6 and struck out 5. Has a 2.21 ERA for the Vikings. So Gus, just a freshman for the Vikings. Saw his mom sitting in the bleachers here a little bit ago, so she's at the ball game. So Gus, a right-hander for the Vikings. As we are getting set to go to the bottom of the first, the Vikings got a run in the top of the first as a base on balls to Grant Knutson, then a base hit by Kason Tyler, infield hit by Gavin Knutson, and then a costly error by the Warriors at first base gets the Vikings a run, and that's how the Vikings got their run in the top of the first. For South Winneshiek, it'll be Jordan Eink leading it off, then Braden Todd and Carson Streeter, the first 3 batters for the Warriors. Just underway on a beautiful night here from Kelmer. Warrior baseball, big crowd on hand here, not only down the first base and third base lines and in the grandstand, but out in the outfield. They are crowded in there. Great crowd, and we have Jordan Eink stepping to the plate for the Warriors. So Jordan at the plate. He is a sophomore, batting .452 on the season. He's got 16 runs batted in. That's second on the team. Gus Pohl set to go. He goes from the stretch all the time. Here is the first pitch. Ooh, and that's inside and hit him. So he was hit by the pitch, and that'll put Jordan on at first base. And now Braden Todd comes to the plate for the Warriors. Braden Todd, .395 on the season, 9 runs batted in. Last year he led the team with hit by pitch. I think he was hit like 13 times in the season. So he had kind of a magnet towards him last year. Only been hit, I think, 5 times this year. Here is the first pitch, and that's a called strike in the outside corner to Braden Todd. So Jordan Eink at first base for the Warriors. Braden Todd at the plate. Calls time, gets his batting glove back on and adjusted here, and we are set to go. Gus Pohl on the mound for the Vikings. Vikings lead 1-0 here in the bottom of the first. That pitch is outside. And the count goes even at 1 ball and 1 strike. Thanks again to the South Winneshiek Booster Club. Man, what a great cheeseburger. That was fantastic. Thank you very much. 1 ball, 1 strike. Nobody out. Runner at first base is Jordan Eink. And that's a fly ball back deep to left field. It's going to be caught there right about at the track. Boy, a nice poke there, but not far enough, and hauled in there by the Vikings' Grant Knutson. He gave it a pretty good ride there, but out number 1. Now Carson Streeter at the plate. That wind blowing a little bit from left towards right field, about 8 miles an hour. Don't know if it had any effect on that, but got back there about 5 feet from the fence. It's 320 down the lines and 350 to straightaway center. Carson Streeter at the plate now for the Warriors. That breaking ball misses for ball 1. Streeter, .429 hitter on the season, leads the team in runs batted in with 22 for the Warriors. Here's the 1-0 pitch now from Pohl. That breaker, that's in there for a strike. So 1 ball, 1 strike, Jordan Eink on at first base. He's got pretty good wheels, has stolen quite a bit for the South Winneshiek Warriors. We'll see what happens here on this 1 ball, 1 strike count. Doesn't go. There's a pitch, and it's outside for ball 2. 2 balls and no strike, or 2 balls and a strike now to the batter, Carson Streeter, taking a look at some of the stats for Jordan Eink here, trying to see about running. And there he goes there, and now he's going to stand up or he can slide in, but he didn't have to slide as the ball drops out of the glove, and it is now 3-1. Nice job of keeping the ball in front of you. Let's see. So he is 14 for 14 before that. Now he's 15 for 15 in stolen bases is Jordan Eink. He's at second base. Here's the 3-1 pitch, and that's outside for ball 4. So runner at first and second for the Warriors here. 1 out, and now Jamie Zweibacher at the plate. Jamie, the left fielder, .314 hitter on the season, and has 7 runs batted in. So the Warriors threatening here in the bottom of the first inning. 2 on, 1 out. Zweibacher at the plate. Pole set, now the pitch, and that's a little high for ball 1. By the way, the officials here, the umpires tonight, behind the plate is Cale Reister, and Rich Stokel is on the bases. Here is the 1-0 pitch, and that's a fly ball out of play on the right field side. And the count now even at 1 ball and 1 strike. Eric Grieve waits in the on-deck circle for the Warriors. So the Vikes have a 1-0 lead, but the South Winneshiek Warriors threatening here in the bottom of the first. That pitch is low, and the count 2-1 now. There's a throw down to second base, but Eink is back in time. So 2-1 is the count here with 1 out, 2 on. Streeter at first and Eink at second base. At the plate is Jamie Zweibacher, and there's a fly ball back out of play again, and the count goes even at 2 balls and 2 strikes. So busy time of the baseball season. A lot of these teams playing 4 to 6 ball games at least per week. So busy schedules for both of these teams. Here's the 2-2 pitch now from Pole, and that's outside. Nice block there. Throw down to second base. Ooh, it's close. It was close. They had Eink leaning, and a nice throw there by Trevor Kennan, and just about had him there. And the count now 3 balls and 2 strikes to Jamie Zweibacher. So 2 on, 1 out, 3-2 pitch ready to go. Here comes Pole's pitch, and that's a ground ball hit to second base. Weimer's going to have to go to first base and gets the force out there. Runners will advance to second and third, but a nice play there by Weimer to get the out at first base. So 4-3 for out number 2, and now Eric Grieve at the plate. So runners at second and third, 2 outs. Eric Grieve at the plate. He plays right field for the Warriors. Grieve, a .222 hitter on the season. He's got 10 runs batted in. So now a timeout here as Coach Smith, well, actually, I think they're going to have a courtesy runner there, and they are. Trying to see what number 5, that is Cameron Eink's going to come in and run for Streeter. So Cameron Eink runs at second base for Streeter as a courtesy runner for the pitcher. So Grieve at the plate, 2 on, 2 outs here. Pole is ready, comes to the plate, and that's a swing and a miss. Had a good rip at it, but couldn't catch up to it there. Strike 1 to Eric Grieve here. So it is Jordan Eink at third base, and Cameron Eink is at second. There's a curveball, bounces away, but nice job of hustle there by Trevor Kennan to track it down. The count goes even at 1 ball and 1 strike. So Grieve at the plate. Big situation here for both teams. Vikes lead 1-0. They got a run in the top of the first. Here's the pitch, and that's outside. And the count now 2 balls and 1 strikes to Grieve. Sid Hesse waits on deck for the Warriors. Runners at second and third, 2 outs. Here's the 2-1 pitch now by Pole. Ooh, and just off the top for ball 3. Just a hair high there. And now the count 3 balls and a strike to Eric Grieve. Here in the bottom of the first inning. Great night for baseball. Great crowd on hand as well. Dave Anderson up here in the press box doing the PA. What a great guy. And there's a fly ball center field as Knutson goes after it. Can he make the grab? Yes, he makes a diving catch for the Vikings in right center field and hauls it in. Wow, that's a big play there. And for the Warriors, no runs, no hits, and 2 runners left on base. So it's 1-0 after 1 inning. We'll take this quick break. The Vikings lead it 1-0. We'll be right back.
Decorah Sports, brought to you in part by Dutrack Community Credit Union Decorah, Don Anderson Insurance, Vic's Plumbing and Heating and the Nordic Heart Showroom, Fairway Decorah, Letterworks, Oneoto Physical Therapy, Viking Safe Store, Bonesteiner Implements, Jim's Appliance, JW Kitchens, Fireman's Inn, Hy-Vee of Decorah, Rockweller Appliance and TV, A&J Petersburg Agency and Real Estate, and Kurt Brothers Banks. Decorah Sports, brought to you in part by Marcel Electric, Priest and Associate Realtors, Gallery of Tops, Don Jose's Mexican Restaurant, Upper Iowa Marine, Green Lawn Lawn Care, Northeast Security Bank, Ace Hardware and Ace Kitchen Place, Rince's Sales and Service, Saban's Family Table Restaurant, Vulcanol Service on...
All right, welcome back, everybody. We're set to go to the top of the second inning. And for the Vikings, it will be Rex LaFrenz leading it off for the Vikes, back from the left-hand side. Here's the first pitch, and there's a swing and a miss. Boy, had a good rip at it there. LaFrenz, a 500 hitter on the season, hasn't had as many as bats as some of the players, but he had a grand slam the other night. Here's a pitch, and that's outside for ball one. So 1 ball and 1 strike to Rex LaFrenz. Got 7 runs batted in, swing and a miss for strike 2. So it'll be LaFrenz, then Caden Hubka and Lucas Weimer, the first 3 scheduled batters for the Vikings. Here's the 1-2 pitch, and that's outside. The count now even at 2 balls and 2 strikes. So the Vikes got 1 run on 2 hits and 1 South Winneshiek error in the top of the first. There's a ground ball hit to Wenholt at shortstop, picks it up cleanly, fires it over to first base, gets LaFrenz 6-3 for out number 1. That'll bring up Caden Hubka. Hubka, 263 hitter on the season for the Vikings. He is a junior, bats from the right-hand side. So Hubka at the plate for the Vikings. Here's the first pitch now from Streeter. And it's a ground ball hit to the shortstop. Carver again picks it up. Going to have to be hurried, and he's not in time to throw. Bounces away from the first baseman, Timp. So that's an infield base hit, I'm going to call it. So the third hit of the game for the Vikings. The Vikings with 1 out have a runner at first base again, just like they did in the first inning. So Hubka on at first with the infield base hit. Lucas Weimer at the plate. 333 hitter in that number 9 spot, has 11 runs batted in, so he's really done a great job in that spot for the Vikings. 1 on, 1 out. Weimer at the plate. Nice lead over there by Hubka at first base. Here's the pitch home, and that's a strike. So Lucas Weimer bats here, and then we go back to the top of the batting order. Gus Pohl waits on deck for the Vikings. We're in the second inning, 1-0 the Vikings lead, and they have a runner on in the top of the second. Here's the 0-1 pitch now from Streeter. Squares around to bunt, bunts it foul for strike 2. So the Vikes trying to move him on to second base there. And the ball fouled off, and the count 0-2 now to Lucas Weimer for the Vikings. So the Vikings and the South Winneshiek Warriors played exactly 2 weeks ago. And now they're back at it here at Kelmer Field. There's called strike 3. And that is his second strikeout of the ball game for Streeter. Out number 2. And now this will be Gus Pohl batting. He grounded out to the second baseman, Sid Hesse, in the top of the first. So 1 on, 2 outs for the Vikes. Pretty good lead over there for Hubka. Streeter takes a look. Hubka moves back a half a step. Now the pitch, and that's a called strike. So Gus Pohl at the plate for the Vikings. 2 outs. Hubka at first base. He got that infield base hit. So here's the 0-1 pitch now to Gus. And that's line foul down the right field line, out of play. And Gus behind in the count, 0-2 now. 2 outs. 1 on for the Vikings. Vikings have a 1-0 lead here in the top of the second inning. We'll go through positions after this pitch. Let's see. Here's the pitch. Fly ball, right center field. A long way to go, a long way, and nobody's going to get to that one. It bounces off the wall. They're going to send him home. Here is, and the runner's going to be up and in. There's Hubka scores, and the Vikings are up 2-0 as Gus Pohl gets a double to right center and gets the RBI, and the Vikings up 2-0. Boy, that thing just carried out there. And Ike, there was no way he was going to catch up to that. Bounced off the fence. One bouncer, and looking out there, that's a long ways out there. And so the Vikings have their second run on the board. And now Grant Knutson at the plate for the Vikings. Gus Pohl at second. Tons of speed out there as well for Pohl on the base path. So 2-0 is our score. Streeter sets, comes to the plate. And there's a called strike. So Grant Knutson at the plate. He scored a run for the Vikings in the top of the first. The Vikes now lead 2-0. Here's the pitch from Streeter. And that's just a hair outside for ball one. 1 ball, 1 strike. Here in the top of the second inning, Vikings have a run in the first, now a run so far in the second. There's a called strike on the breaking pitch, and it's 1 ball, 2 strikes. So the Vikes so far in this inning, 1 run on 2 hits. And they are set to go 1 ball, 2 strikes. Now to Knutson. Here is the pitch, and that's outside. And the count now even at 2 balls and 2 strikes. So 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, 2-0 in the second inning for the Vikings. Streeter is set, takes a look at Pohl at second, now comes home, and that's outside for ball 3. So Knutson now works the count to 3 balls and 2 strikes. Gus Pohl leads off second base. Here's the 3-2 pitch, and that's low. Nice block there by Braden Todd, but the walk given up there, and that's the second walk of the ball game given up by Streeter. Now the Vikings have runners at second and first with 2 outs, and Kason Tyler at the plate. He got a base hit in the first game, or in the first inning, excuse me, to give the Vikes a 1-0 lead. So Kason Tyler at the plate now for the Vikes. 2 on, 2 outs. Tyler at the plate. Now Streeter from the stretch. Now he steps back off the pitching rubber. We're in the top of the second inning. Vikings 2-0 right now over the Warriors. Here's the pitch, and that's a high fly ball. That's going to go out of play for strike 1. So Kason Tyler at the plate. Got that base hit in the first. He was thrown out at the plate trying to score. And so the score now 2-0. The Vikings lead. Runners at first and second. Tyler at the plate. 1 strike is the count. Streeter from the stretch takes a look at Pohl at second. Now comes to the plate. Fly ball right field, down the right field line. That could be trouble. It's a long ways to go. It is a foul ball. But boy, not by a lot. And so everybody's going to go back, and the count now will be 0-2 to Kason Tyler. A long, long run there for Eric Grieve, the right fielder for South Winneshiek. Here in the top of the second inning. So Pohl is at second, and Grant Knutson at first base. Kason Tyler at the plate for the Vikings. Vikings trying to see if they can get something else across. Here's the 0-2 pitch now by Streeter. Ooh, inside, that might have hit him. I think it did. Yes, it did. So he's going to be hit by the pitch, and bases are going to be loaded now as Pohl goes to third, Knutson to second, and now the base is loaded, and Coach Smith wants to have a timeout and go talk to his team. We'll take a timeout as well. We'll be right back after these messages.
South Winneshiek Sports brought to you in part by Green Lawn Care, K Company Ag, your Pioneer dealer, Truck Service in Oshet, Citizen Savings Banks of Port Atkinson, Spillville, and Protoman, Southwind Insurance, Heritage Mutual Agent, Howard's Tire and Repair, Fidelity Bank and Trust in Kelmer and Oshet, Dietzenbach Financial of Kelmer, Pivo Brewery in Blepta Studios, Superior Building Center of Kelmer and Monona, Becker Hardware, and Dave's Collision Shop. South Winneshiek Sports brought to you by La Luena Savings Bank, Community Insurance of Iowa and Oshet, Hawkeye Telephone Company, Drilling's All Season Sports, Paramount Insurance Group Kelmer, Neil's Auto Body, U2 Barbecue, Quick Auto Repair, and Mark Smith Electric and Solar.
All right, welcome back. We are set to go. Gavin Knutson at the plate now for the Vikings. Bases loaded, 2 outs. That pitch is outside for ball 1. So Gavin Knutson at the plate now for the Vikings here in the top of the second. The Vikes have 1 run in. They are threatening here with bases loaded. Here's the 1-0 pitch, and that's outside for ball 2. So Knutson now works the count to 2-0 with bases loaded. Pohl is at third. Grant Knutson is at second. Kason Tyler at first. Here's the 2-0 pitch, and that's low, and that's ball 3. So now 3-0 to the batter with the bases loaded. No room on the base paths there. And Grant Knutson is at second base. At third base is Gus Pohl. At first base, Kason Tyler. Here is the 3-0 pitch now. Wonder if he's taken all the way on this one. Let's see. Here's the 3-0 pitch, and that's a called strike. So Gavin Knutson at the plate for the Vikings with bases loaded here in the top of the second inning. 3 balls and a strike. Streeter ready to go. Here's the pitch, and that's high for ball 4, and they're going to walk in a run there as Gus Pohl comes across the plate, and it's 3-0. The Vikings lead it, and bases still loaded there. So Knutson walks, and now Trevor Kennan, that's an RBI for Gavin Knutson, by the way. Trevor Kennan now at the plate. So the Vikings, again, bases loaded, 2 outs. Here's the first pitch, and there's a ground ball foul down the first baseline for strike 1. So Trevor Kennan at the plate reached on an error in the first innings. Then Hayek stole second. So big situation here for the Vikings and for the Warriors. Here's the 0-1 pitch, and that's high for ball 1. So Trevor Kennan at the plate now for the Vikings. Bases loaded, 2 outs. 1 ball, 1 strike, and the pitch. And a swing and a miss. Took a good rip at it there. And the count now 1-2 with 2 outs. Grant Knutson at third. Kason Tyler at second. Gavin Knutson at first base. 1 ball, 2 strikes is the count. Streeter ready now. Set. Now he's going to throw to second base. He fakes the throw to second base as Kason gets back. So 1 ball, 2 strikes. At the plate, Trevor Kennan for the Vikings. Streeter ready. Here comes the pitch. Fly ball right field. That's back quite a ways. Grieve going after it. He can't get it. 2 runs are going to score for sure, maybe 3. Here comes the 3rd run in, and there's no play at the plate. And the Vikes get 3 more runs on a double down the right field line by Trevor Kennan. And he's got 3 runs batted in, and the Vikings have their 4th run across here in the second inning, and now have a 6-0 lead here. So the Vikes lead at 6-0 here as Kennan ends up at second base. Hayek now going to run for him at second base. Ethan Kennan now at the plate. And there's a ground ball hit to Timp at first base. He's going to step on the bag himself for the out, but 9 batters come up for the Vikings. Get 6 runs on 3 hits, and 1 runner left on base. We'll head to the bottom of the second. The Vikings up 6-0. We'll be right back.
Decorah Sports, brought to you in part by Marshall Electric, Priest and Associate Realtors, Gallery of Tops, Don Jose's Mexican Restaurant, Upper Iowa Marine, Green Lawn Lawn Care, Northeast Security Bank, Ace Hardware and Ace Kitchen Place, Princess Sales and Service, Saban's Family Cable Restaurant, Falconall Service on Montgomery Street, Decorah, Stanley Engineered Fastening, Joe Malloy, American Family Insurance Agency, and Bright Spot Car Wash, home of the monthly memberships. Decorah Sports, brought to you by Winneshiek Plumbing and Heating, Total Tree Care, Westside Dental, Barney's Bar and Grill, Decorah Tire, Tri-State Doors, Hacker Nelson Company, Don Anderson Insurance, Deco Products, Kelly Real Estate and Building Systems, Toppling Goliath Brewing Company, Grizzly, Paul Hudson State Farm, Hubka Construction, Compi Soda Shop, Olsgaard Auto Sales, and Daryl Farley Construction.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We are at Warrior Field here in Kelmer. The Vikings 6-0 over the South Winneshiek Warriors. We're headed to the bottom of the second inning, and the Vikings really using those bats here as they lead it 6-0 here. South Winneshiek will come up. Sid Hesse, then Hayden T-Scotter, and Caden Meyer, the first three batters. So Hesse at the plate here for the Warriors here in the bottom of the second inning. Here's the pitch, and that breaking ball a little high for ball one. So Sid Hesse, a .259 hitter on the season, has 7 runs batted in for the Warriors. Here's the 1-0 pitch, and that's a strike on the outside corner. So Gus Pohl throwing really well here for the Vikings so far in this ball game. 1 ball, 1 strike to Sid Hesse, the leadoff batter for the Warriors in the bottom of 2. That pitch outside. And the count, 2 balls and a strike. Big shout out to my mom listening tonight. Hopefully, Mom, you're having a great time listening to this one. Here's the 2-1 pitch. Swing and a miss for strike 2. So just 2 base runners for South Winneshiek. They had runners at second and third in the first inning, but couldn't get a run across. Here's the 2-2 pitch. That is low for ball 3. Count goes full now to the leadoff batter for the Warriors here in the bottom of the second. Sid Hesse, the freshman second baseman. Pole set to go. Now the pitch. And that's lined into right field. That's going to be a base hit for sure. Let's see if Hesse tries to go for 2. And no, he's going to hold up at first base. So Hesse leads off the bottom of the second with a base hit down the right field line. So the first base hit of the ball game for the Warriors. And so now it will be Hayden T-Scotter at the plate, third baseman. Bats from the right-hand side. Also a freshman for the Warriors. That breaking ball just a little high for ball 1. So Hayden T-Scotter at the plate, a .400 hitter on the season so far for the Warriors. He's got 7 runs batted in. That pitch just missed the outside edge, and it's now 2-0. So Hesse leads off with a base hit to right field. Now it is T-Scotter at the plate for the Warriors. 2-0 pitch, and there's a fly ball. That's going to stay in play, it looks like, in foul territory. And Weimer comes over and calls off Kennan and makes the catch there in foul territory. Nice job there by Weimer as Lucas comes over and makes the grab in foul territory for out number 1. That'll bring up Caden Meyer. Big shout out to his grandmother, Elma. Hope she's listening here tonight. So, Elma, glad you're with us here tonight. Elma, your grandson at the plate. Here is the first pitch now from Pohl. Ooh, that's inside. Just about hit him. So 1 ball and no strikes. He's the designated hitter in this ball game. So at first base is Hesse. Not a big lead over there. That pitch is outside. And it's now 2-0 to Caden Meyer here in the bottom of the second inning. The Vikings got a run in the first and then 5 more in the second. Here is the 2-0 pitch now. There's a ground ball, big hop. Weimer's going to get it, makes a nice play over to first base and gets the out. So 2 great plays in a row by Weimer as he goes deep into the hole to pick that one up and guns it over to first base for out number 2. Now that'll bring up Carver Winholt, the shortstop for the South Winneshiek Warriors.
Number 24, Carver Winholt.
So glad you're listening tonight on 94.9. We're split this up as we've got a game also. Pat Wagner on 99.1. He's got Decorah softball versus Waukon. That's on 99.1. We're on 94.9 thanks to Olaf and the gang getting that all worked out here tonight. Here's Carver Winholt now calls time, steps back out of the batter's box. So we're in the bottom of the second inning, and it's 6-0 right now. The Warriors will have a runner at second base, and the pitch, that's a called strike. So Winholt at the plate here now for the Warriors in the bottom of the second inning as Jordan Eink waits on deck. Here's a pitch, and that's outside. It's going to get away from the catcher. The throw down to third base, and Hesse's there in time on the wild pitch. So the count now 1-1 to Carver Winholt. Here in the bottom of the second inning, the Warriors have a runner at third base now with 2 outs. Winholt at the plate. He's got 13 base on balls, so he's worked the count well. That pitch just a hair high for ball 2. That's a lot of reaches on base on balls. 2 balls and a strike is the count. Here's the pitch. And that's a fastball, gets right past Winholt, a swing and a miss for strike 2. So 2 balls, 2 strikes, runner at third base for the Warriors here in the bottom of the second with the Vikings leading 6-0. And that breaking ball's outside, and the count goes full. So Winholt works it to a full count here with 2 outs. Hesse at third base. Pole ready to go. Here's the pitch, and there's a liner hit towards one bouncer over to shortstop, and Tyler throws over to first to get the out. So nice play by Case and Tyler. 6-3 for out number 3. No runs on 1 hit, no errors, and 1 runner left on base. We'll head to the top of the third. The Vikings still lead 6-0. We'll take this break. Be right back.
South Winneshiek Sports brought to you in part by Green Lawn Care, K Company Ag, your Pioneer dealer, Chuck Service in Oshet, Citizen Savings Banks of Port Atkinson, Spillville, and Protivin, Southwind Insurance, Heritage Mutual Agent, Howard's Tire and Repair, Fidelity Bank and Trust in Kelmer and Oshet, Dietzenbach Financial of Kelmer, Pivo Brewery and Blefta Studios, Superior Building Center of Kelmer and Monona, Becker Hardware, and Dave's Collision Shop. Decorah Sports, brought to you in part by Kingpin Entertainment Center, Voltmer Electric, Dental Associates of Decorah, Farm Bureau Insurance Agent Mike Rakitich, Pennington Repair and Sales, JB Holland Construction, Raymond James DeCuvalier and Brent Van Sloten, Elliott Jewelers, Epic Wear, Oneota Financial, Olson Explosives, Countywide Plumbing and Heating, Decorah Bank and Trust, and Hubden Oil.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We are back to go to the top of the third inning, and it'll be Rex LaFrenz leading it off, takes the first pitch high and outside for ball 1. LaFrenz got a base hit in that first inning for the Vikings, or in the second inning. Here is a swing and a miss for strike 1. 1 ball, 1 strike. So 1 ball, 1 strike to Rex here leading off the third. Swing and a miss for strike 2. So LaFrenz at the plate here to lead it off for the Vikings in the top of the third. Still 6-0 is our score. There's a ground ball hit to the shortstop, Winholt. Going to fire to first base and has the out there. And LaFrenz is out 6-3 for out number 1. Now Caden Hubka at the plate. He had a base hit in the second inning. So Hubka at the plate. He scored a run as well for the Vikings, the first run of the second. And the pitch Oh, they're going to say he swung at that one for strike one. Tried to hold back, but couldn't get it done. And it's one strike. Streeter set to go again, and there's a swing and a miss for strike two. So Hubka at the plate here for the Vikings. Behind in the count, 0-2. Streeter working quickly here. Here's the 0-2 pitch, and that's inside for ball one. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Now to Caden Hubka as Lucas Weimer waits on deck. Here's the pitch, and that's fouled back out of play. So the count 1-2 now. Top of the third, 1 out, nobody on for the Vikings. Streeter set. Here's the pitch, and that's called strike 3 for out number 2. And that is the third strikeout of the ball game for Streeter. And now Lucas Weimer at the plate at a couple defensive plays, or very nice plays in the last half inning defensively for the Vikes. So Lucas Weimer at the plate for the Vikes with 2 outs, swing and a miss for strike 1. So Vikes 1 in the first, 5 in the second. They lead it 6-0 here over the Warriors. Here's the 0-1 pitch, and that's a breaking ball in for a strike. Now the count 0-2 is Weimer behind here. Have to guard the dish here with 2 outs. Here's the 0-2 pitch, and that's called strike 3, looking for out number 3. So a quick half inning there. No runs, no hits, and nobody on base. Will go to the bottom of the third, and the Vikings lead 6-0. We'll take this break. We'll be right back.
South Winneshiek Sports brought to you by La Savings Bank, Community Insurance of Iowa and Oshet, Hawkeye Telephone Company, Drilling's All Season Sports, Paramount Insurance Group, Kelmer, Neil's Auto Body, U2 Barbecue, Quick Auto Repair, and Mark Smith Electric and Solar. Decorah Sports brought to you in part by Jason Knox and Associates, Casper Plumbing and Heating, Truck Country, Plain One Financial, Wicks Construction, Car Auto Group, Perry Novak Electric and Solar, The Whippy Dip, Riser Financial, Viking State Bank and Trust, Finhall Construction and Triad Kitchens, Benefits Inc., Bruning Rock Products, and Wise GMC.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We are headed to the bottom of the third inning. The Vikings up 6-0 here in this ball game. Gus Pohl on the mound for the Vikings, pitching a shutout so far in the first 2 innings. For the South Winneshiek Warriors, they're going to be going right back to the top of the lineup. Jordan Eink, Braden Todd, and Carson Streeter. First 3 batters this inning as Gus Pohl, this freshman right-hander, pitching a gem here. No runs, only giving up 1 hit in this ball game. And so now Jordan Eink steps to the plate. He was hit by a pitch in the first inning, the first batter of the game. So he steps to the plate, stole second base, got to third, and that's where he was stranded for the Warriors in the bottom of the first inning. So Eink at the plate here now for the Warriors for the second time. Here's the pitch by Pohl, and that's a strike on the outside corner. So Eink at the plate here. We're in the bottom of the third inning. Here's the 0-1 pitch now, and that's outside for ball 1. 1 ball, 1 strike. Jordan Eink at the plate here now for the Warriors. Let's go through Vikings defensive set after this pitch. There's a ground ball hit to Tyler at short. He's going to fire over to first base, and in time, nice play there. Again, 6-3 for out number 1. For the Vikings, it's Caden Hubka at third base. Kason Tyler is at short. Lucas Weimer at second. Ethan Kennan at first base. Trevor Kennan behind the plate. Out in left field is Grant Knutson. Out in center is Gavin Knutson. And in right field, Elliot Berland. And on the mound is Gus Pohl for the Vikes. That'll bring up Braden Todd. Hit a deep fly ball to left field, but it was caught there about 5 steps from the fence. First pitch is high for ball 1. So Braden Todd at the plate 1 out, nobody on. There's a fly ball to center field. Knutsen's going to have to go a ways, but now he's going to get called off there by Berlin, and Berlin makes the catch in right center field for out number 2. So great job coming over there, Elliot Berlin, to make the grab for out number 2. Now Carson Streeter at the plate. Carson reached on a base on balls in the first inning, got to second base, but that was as far as he got. So 2 outs, nobody on. Carson Streeter at the plate. Ooh, that's high and inside for ball 1. So 1 ball and no strikes. Carson Streeter at the plate here. Pull set. Now he's ready to bring it home. And that's a strike. So 1 ball and 1 strike to Carson Streeter here for the South Winneshiek Warriors in the bottom of the 3rd. There's a ground ball hit down the right field line, foul. And the count now 1 ball and 2 strikes. Had a pretty good rip on it there, but foul. So we said the Warriors have play Waukon tomorrow night, and then Key High on Thursday, and then Saturday, Coon Rapids. They go there. That pitch is outside and low for ball 2. 2 balls and a strike. And for the Vikings, looking at their schedule, we'll get that after this pitch. Here's the 2-2 pitch. And that's, ooh, just must have missed. And the count goes full right there. That was one of those, your 50-50 ones, I guess. 3-2 is the count now to Carson Streeter. Pole ready. And that's off his wrists and foul down the first baseline. And the count stays at 3-2. So the Vikings have a doubleheader tomorrow night against Cedar Rapids Kennedy. And then Friday they play Marquette Catholic. That pitch is outside for ball 4. So Streeter walks for the second time in this ball game. And it's the second walk given up of the game by Pole, both of them to Streeter. And now that will bring up Jamie Zweibacher for the Warriors. We'll have a courtesy runner, and I'm going to guess it's Cameron Eink coming in. Yes, it is. Cameron Eink is going to run for Carson Streeter.
Courtesy runner for the pitcher at first base, number 5.
And then Saturday, the Vikings go to Northeast, and they will take on Northeast, and they'll also take on Alburnett as well. So, like we said, a busy week for both of these teams in baseball. So Zweibacher now at the plate. That first pitch is high and tight for ball 1. We're in the bottom of the 3rd inning. Vikings up 6-0. The Warriors have a runner, Cameron Eink, at first base with 2 outs. That pitch is inside for ball 2. So Jamie Zweibacher at the plate. He grounded out in the first inning. 2-0 count now. Pole is set. He's ready. Going to bring it home. Here is the strike down the middle. And the count now 2 balls and a strike. So Cameron Eink is at first base. 2 balls and a strike. And there's a foul ball out of play. And now the count is even at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Eric Grieve waits on deck for the Warriors. 2 outs, 2 balls and 2 strikes here in the bottom of the 3rd inning. The Warriors trying to get something going. The Vikings trying to shut them down. Here's the 2-2 pitch now from Pole. And that's outside. And the count now goes full to 3 balls and 2 strikes to Jamie Zweibacher. So the Vikings got the first 2 outs of the inning and then a walk to Carson Streeter and the courtesy runner Cameron Eink. Here's the 3-2 pitch. And that's a line drive. It's going to go into left field for a base hit. And now they're going to try stretch it to third base, and he's going to be there. And so they'll have runners at the corners as Eink gets to third base on the base hit and Zweibacher at first. So the second hit of the game for the Warriors, and they've got runners at the corners here with 2 outs and Eric Grieve at the plate.
For the Warriors, the right fielder, number 7, Eric.
So Eric Grieve steps to the plate. He popped out to center field on a great catch by the Vikings' Gavin Knutsen in the first inning. Probably saved a couple runs there. So Grieve at the plate runners at the corners here in the bottom of the third for the Warriors. Here's the first pitch from Pohl. Thought the runner might go, but he stays at first base. That pitch outside for ball one. So Eric Grieve at the plate. Cameron Eink is at third, and Jamie Zweibacher at first. Here's the 1-0 pitch, and that is outside for ball two to Eric Grieve. So the Warriors threatening here in the bottom of the third inning. Runners at the corners with 2 out. Eric Grieve at the plate with a 2-ball, no strike count. Pitch from Pohl, and that's outside for ball three. And when you haven't been on that edge, you're not going to get that call probably. 3 balls and no strikes. Here's the pitch, and that's right down the middle for strike one. 3 balls and a strike now to Eric Grieve, batting here in the bottom of the third for the Warriors with runners at first and third. And there's a swing and a miss. Nice location for that pitch right on the outside corner. And the count goes full at 3 balls and 2 strikes to Eric Grieve. 2 outs here. Big pitch on the way here. And that's outside for ball 4. And that's the second walk given up of the inning, the third of the game. Grieve goes down to first. Zweibacher over to second. Now bases loaded with 2 outs. And now Sid Hesse at the plate. He got an infield base hit in the second inning. So Hesse at the plate now. And a swing and a miss, strike one. Had a good rip at it. Couldn't catch up to it. 1 strike, bases loaded for the Warriors here with 2 outs. Bottom of the third, the pitch by Pohl. That's outside for ball 1. 1 ball, 1 strike. Bottom of the third, Warriors have bases loaded, 2 outs. Here's the 1-1 pitch, and that's lined out of play down the first base side. And the count now 1 ball and 2 strikes to Sid Hesse for the Warriors here in the bottom of the third inning. Grant Knutson in left, Gavin Knutson in center, and Elliot Berland in right. There's a swing and a miss. Got him out on the curveball, and that's going to get the Vikings out of the jam there. No runs on 1 hit, no errors, and 3 runners left on base. So we'll go to the top of the fourth, and it's still 6-0. The Vikings lead. We'll take this break. We'll be right back.
South Winneshiek Sports brought to you in part by Green Lawn Care, K Company Ag, your Pioneer dealer, Chuck Service in Oshet, Citizen Savings Banks of Port Atkinson, Spillville, and Protivin, Southwind Insurance, Heritage Mutual Agent, Howard's Tire and Repair, Fidelity Bank and Trust in Kelmer and Oshet, Dietzenbach Financial of Kelmer, Pivo Brewery in Blefta Studios, Superior Building Center of Kelmer and Monona, Becker Hardware, and Dave's Collision Shop. South Winneshiek Sports brought to you by La Luena Savings Bank, Community Insurance of Iowa and Oshet, Hawkeye Telephone Company, Drilling's All Season Sports, Paramount Insurance Group Kelmer, Neil's Auto Body, U2 Barbecue, Quick Auto Repair, and Mark Smith Electric and Solar. Decorah.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We are set to go here. Top of the fourth inning, and the Vikings will start it off with Gus Pohl leading it off. Boy, he's done a great job on the mound here for the Vikings. So Gus Pohl at the plate for the Vikings. He got a double and an RBI in the second inning for the Vikes. Ooh, and that's on the opposite side of the batter there for ball 1. So Gus Pohl at the plate here to lead it off for the Vikings in the fourth. There is a hit out to right field. That's going to drop in for a base hit. Pohl's going to stay at first base. Nice job there. Just sawed it off there and got it to drop into right field there in front of the fair foul line. And so Gus Pohl's got his second hit of the ball game. And the leadoff runner on for the Vikes, Grant Knutson, at the plate. He's been walked twice and has scored twice in this game for the Vikings. So Grant Knutson at the plate. Nobody out. Gus Pohl at first base. Has a pretty good lead over there. Let's see what Streeter thinks about that. Here's the pitch home, and that's low for ball one. So Knutson walked twice here in this ball game, scored twice. 1 ball, no strikes here in his at bat in the fourth. Pohl at first. There's a swing and a miss for strike one. So 1 ball, 1 strike as Kason Tyler waits on deck for the Vikings here. We're in the top of the fourth inning. The Vikings got 1 in the first and 5 in the second to take the 6-0 lead. There's a throw over to first base, and back in time is Gus Pohl. Nice job there by Timp digging that one out of the dirt. So at the plate now, Grant Knutson for the Vikings. Set to go. Now here comes Streeter. And there goes the runner. Pohl's throw down to second base. And they've got him out there on the steal as he tried to steal a nice throw from the catcher Braden Todd. And Pohl is gunned down there 2-4 for out number 1. Now Knutson takes that pitch for a strike, and it's 1 ball and 2 strikes. Nobody on now, and here is the pitch to Grant Knutson. Ooh, and that just missed the outside edge, and the count now 2 balls and 2 strikes as we're in the top of the fourth inning. The Vikings had the leadoff runner on, but then was thrown out at second base trying to steal. Here's the 2-2 pitch, and that's high and outside for ball 3. So 3 balls and 2 strikes now to Grant Knutson here with 1 out, nobody on in the fourth. There's a swing and a miss for strike 3 and out number 2. I have that is the 5th strikeout of the ball game for Streeter. And now that will bring up Kason Tyler. He walked and scored in the second for the Vikings, had a base hit in the first. So Kason Tyler at the plate for the Vikes. And that's just a hair high for ball 1. 1 ball and no strikes here. Kason Tyler with 2 outs, nobody on in the top of the fourth for the Vikings, leading 6-0. That pitch is high. And 2 balls and no strikes to Kason here. Streeter all the way on the mound for the Warriors. Here's the 2-0 pitch, and that's a called strike. And it's 2 balls and a strike to Kason. Said has 11 runs batted in on the season for the Vikes. Now make it 12 as he was batting at a base on balls. There's a called strike, and the count goes even to 2-2. So he's got 12 runs batted in on the season now. Here's the 2-2 pitch, and that's a fly ball out to right field. Eric Grieve camps underneath and makes a grab for out number 3. So the Vikes, no runs on no hits and nobody left on base. We'll go to the bottom of the fourth. It's still 6-0. We'll take this quick break. We'll be right back.
Decorah Sports brought to you in part by Jason Knox and Associates, Casper Plumbing and Heating, Truck Country, Plain One Financial, Wicks Construction, Car Auto Group, Perry Nopok Electric and Solar, The Whippy Dip, Riser Financial, Viking State Bank and Trust, Finhall Construction and Triad Kitchens, Benefits Inc., Brooding Rock Products, and Wise GMC. Decorah Sports, brought to you in part by Dutrack Community Credit Union Decorah, Don Anderson Insurance, Vicks Plumbing and Heating and the Nordic Heart Showroom, Fairway Decorah, Letterworks, Odioto Physical Therapy, Viking Safe Store, Bonesteiner Implements, Jim's Appliance, JW Kitchens, Fireman's Inn, Hy-Vee of Decorah, Rockweather Appliance and TV, A&J Petersburg Agency and Real Estate, and Kurt Brothers Banks.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We've got a pitching change for the Vikings. Coming in to pitch will be Rex LaFrenz. He has pitched 1 1/3 innings on the season. He's given up no hits, no runs, no errors. He's walked 2 and struck out 1, so has a 0.0 ERA. And Gus Pohl, the pitcher, will go out to right field for Elliot Berland. And so that will be the switches. Everybody else stays the same there for the Vikings. So the Vikings change pitching here as Rex LaFrenz comes in for the Vikings. Saw him the other night in Charles City throw as well. So for the Warriors here in the bottom of the fourth inning, it will be Hayden Teescotter, followed by Caden Meyer and Carver Winholt. So that will be the batting order for the Warriors here in the bottom of the fourth. No runs on 2 hits and 1 error in this ball game. The Vikings have 6 runs on 5 hits, and they have committed no errors in this ball game. So now it'll be LaFrenz on the mound here. Hey, there's our good friend Pete. All right. All right, here is the first batter. Now this is Hayden Teescotter, a freshman for the Warriors. The first pitch, that's right down the middle for strike 1. That's what you want to do when you come in. Boy, you want that first pitch to come across for a strike, and that's exactly what Rex LaFrenz did there for the Vikings. So Rex on the mound here in the fourth. The pitch, and that's a called strike. That's the way. So Rex LaFrenz comes in here in the fourth inning, and it's an 0-2 count now to Hayden Teescotter, the leadoff batter for the Warriors in the fourth. And that's low for ball 1. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Vikings lead 6-0 here in the bottom of the fourth inning. Big second inning for the Vikes. They got 5 runs there. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Good breaking ball. Slow grounder hit over. Nice throw by Tyler over to first base to Kennan for out number 1. 6-3 for out number 1. Great job, Case and Tyler, again on the ground ball. And now Caden Meyer will step to the plate. He had a ground ball out to the second baseman, Weimer, in the second inning. So Caden Meyer up for the second time. He's the designated hitter in this ball game for the Warriors. Here's the pitch by LaFrenz. And that breaking ball a little bit outside for ball 1. 1 ball, no strikes here with 1 out in the bottom of the fourth inning. For the South Winneshiek Warriors, Hayden Meyer at the plate. Here's the 1-0 pitch. And a ground ball hit to first base. Kennan picks it up, steps on the bag himself for Ethan Kennan. The unassisted play there, and quickly 2 up and 2 down. Now Carver Winholt will be at the plate. So Carver Winholt grounded out to Case and Tyler in the second inning. So at the plate, Carver Winholt for the Warriors with 2 outs and nobody on. That breaking ball in there for a strike. So that one dropped a long ways into that strike zone. 0-1 is the count now to Carver Winholt. The pitch from LaFrenz. Ground ball hit to the third baseman. Hubka fires over to first base. And there's a quick 1-2-3 inning for the Vikings. So we'll head to the top of the 5th inning, still 6-0. The Vikings lead it 6-0.
Decorah Sports, brought to you by Winneshiek Plumbing and Heating, Total Tree Care, Westside Dental, Barney's Bar and Grill, Decorah Tire, Tri-State Doors, Hacker Nelson Company, Don Anderson Insurance, Deco Products, Kelly Real Estate and Building Systems, Toppling Goliath Brewing Company, Grizzly, Paul Hudson State Farm, Hubka Construction, Compi Soda Shop, Olsgaard Auto Sales, and Darrell Farley Construction.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We head to the top of the 5th inning here as the Vikings lead this one 6-0 over the South Winneshiek Warriors. And for the Vikings, let's take a look. It will be Gavin Knutson, followed by Trevor Kennan, then Ethan Kennan, the first 3 scheduled batters for the Vikings here in the top of the 5th. As we said, a run in the first, then the second inning, 5 runs in the second inning on 3 hits for the Vikings. And that's been the big difference in this ball game. Big second inning for the Vikes. So this will be Gavin Knutson up for the Vikes. He got a base hit in the first, and then he walked in the second. First pitch in there for a strike. So Knutson at the plate to lead it off for the Vikings. 1 strike. Here's the next pitch. And that's a strike on the inside corner. And quickly he's behind in the count, 0-2. So top of the 5th already. Seems like it's going very quickly to me. Here is the 0-2 pitch. And that's outside and low for ball 1. 1 ball and a strike here. Top of the 5th inning. Vikings up 6-0. Mom, I hope you're enjoying this one. Here's the 1-2 pitch by Streeter, and that's fouled out of play, and the count stays at 1 ball and 2 strikes. So Knutson, the leading run RBI man for the Vikings, 17 on the season, and got 1 here tonight. So he's got 18. Here's a ground ball hit to third base to T. Scotter, fires over to first, gets the out there, 5-3. For out number 1. So Hayden T. Scotter picks it up, fires over to William Timp for out number 1. Now Trevor Kennan at the plate. Reached on an error in the first, and then had a double, a big double in the second inning, knocking in 3 runs. The bases were loaded. So Trevor Kennan at the plate for the Vikings for the 3rd time. Here's Streeter's pitch, and that's fouled back to the screen for strike 1. So the Vikings and the Warriors here in this Highway 52 rivalry. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Breaking ball a little high for ball 1. 1 ball and 1 strike. Here to Trevor Kennan in the top of the 5th with 1 out. There's a breaking ball. That one gets in the top of the zone for a strike. Now it's 1-2 to Trevor. That's what it was in the second when he got his double, 1-2. Here's a ground ball hit to Winholt at short, long throw, and he's got it there. Nice job there by Carver Winholt, 6-3 for out number 2. Went deep in the hole, made a nice throw, and now this will be Ethan Kennan at the plate. 0-2 in this ball game. So Ethan Kennan steps to the plate for the Vikes with 2 outs and nobody on here in the top of the 5th inning. Here's the first pitch, and that's high for ball 1. 1 ball and no strikes. 2 weeks ago, the Warriors won the game 6-1 over the Vikings, and right now it's 6-0 Vikings in this one. That pitch outside for ball 2. So 2 balls and no strikes here to Ethan Kennan. The pitch now, and that's hit a long ways to right field, back, and that's gone. Ethan Kennan hammers one over the right field fence for a home run. He has been close for many at-bats that I have seen. In this one, he gets the home run there. Kennan to right field, and it is now 7-0 as he gets the home run there. How about that? The 6th hit for the Vikings, and it's now 7-0 as Kennan jacks one over the right field fence. He got all of that. And now we're going to have a timeout as Coach Smith going to the mound for the Warriors. We'll take a quick break, then we'll be right back.
South Winneshiek Sports brought to you in part by Green Lawn Care, K Company Ag, your Pioneer dealer, Chuck Service in Oshet, Citizen Savings Banks of Port Atkinson, Spillville, and Protivin, Southwind Insurance, Heritage Mutual Agent, Howard's Tire and Repair, Fidelity Bank and Trust in Kelmer and Oshet, Dietzenbach Financial of Kelmer, Pivo Brewery and Blepta Studios, Superior Building Center of Kelmer and Monona, Becker Hardware, and Dave's Collision Shop. South Winneshiek Sports brought to you by La Luena Savings Bank, Community Insurance of Iowa and Oshet, Hawkeye Telephone Company, Drilling's All Season Sports, Paramount Insurance Group Kelmer, Neil's Auto Body, U2 Barbecue, Quick Auto Repair, and Mark Smith Electric and Solar. Decorah Sports brought to you in part by Kingpin Entertainment Center, Voltmer Electric, Dental Associates of Decorah, Farmier Insurance Agent Mike Rakitich, Pennington Repair and Sales, JB Holland Construction, Raymond James de Cuvalier and Brent Van Sloten, Elliott Jewelers, Epic Wear, Oneota Financial, Olson Explosives, Countywide Plumbing and Heating, Decorah Bank and Trust, and Hubden Oil.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We've got a change in pitching for the Warriors on the mound now. We have number 10, and that is William Timp. And I'm looking at my pitching, and I see no pitching record for him. This must be his first varsity appearance of the season for the South Winneshiek Warriors. So he's a lefty, played first base. Now Streeter goes to first base. So Carson Streeter at first and William Timp to the mound for the Warriors here with two outs in the bottom or top of the fifth inning. So we are getting set to go, and it'll be Rex LaFrenz leading it off here against Timp. So Rex LaFrenz, he came on to pitch here for the Vikings in the fourth. Now at the plate, Rex LaFrenz batting. Timp on the mound now for the Warriors. William Timp, the lefty, goes from the stretch, and there's a ground ball hit right to T. Scudder at third, fires over to first base, and that's going to retire the side. But the Vikings get one run on one hit, nobody left on base. They lead it 7-0. We'll take a quick break, then we'll be right back.
South Winneshiek Sports brought to you by La Luena Savings Bank, Community Insurance of Iowa and Oshet, Hawkeye Telephone Company, Drilling's All Season Sports, Paramount Insurance Group, Kelmer, Neil's Auto Body, U2 Barbecue, Quick Auto Repair, and Mark Smith Electric and Solar. Decorah Sports, brought to you in part by Kingpin Entertainment Center, Volkmer Electric, Dental Associates of Decorah, Farm Bureau Insurance Agent Mike Rakitich, Headington Repair and Sales, JB Holland Construction, Raymond James de Cuvalier and Brent Van Sloten, Elliott Jewelers, Epic Wear, Oneota Financial, Olson Explosives, Countywide Plumbing and Heating, Decorah Bank and Trust, and Hubden Oil.
All right, welcome back. Glad you're with us here on the river on 94.9 here this evening. Kari, thank you very much for making sure we stay on the air. And let's see. We have some scores here. North Fayette Valley beat Edco 11-7. Key High beat Turkey Valley 5-0. In softball, the Vikings beat Waukon 10-0. Crestwood swept a doubleheader from Elkader Central 10-0 and 22-2. Thanks again to Darren for getting me those scores. And he'll have all the scores and all the information for you on all of our LA communication stations, that's for sure. So we're getting set to go here in the bottom of the fifth inning. And it'll be 1, 2, 3 in the batting order for the South Winneshiek Warriors. Jordan Eink, Braden Todd, and Carson Streeter, the first three scheduled batters for the Warriors here. So Eink steps to the plate. He was hit by a pitch in the first and grounded out to the shortstop in the third inning. So here now is Jordan Eink for the third time. First pitch just a little off the plate for ball one. We're in the bottom of the fifth inning. The Vikings lead this one 7-0. Here is the 1-0 pitch now to Jordan Eink, and that's outside for ball two. So 2-0 the count here. Like I said, great crowd on hand here at South Winneshiek Warrior Field. 2-0 is the count now to Jordan Eink. Here's the pitch. There's a high fly ball down the right field line. And let's see, Weimer is going to make the grab there right on the fair foul line. That's the second great catch he has made there right on the fair foul line. And so Weimer makes the grab there to get Jordan Eink on the fly ball for out number one. Great play for Lucas Weimer there. And now at the plate, Braden Todd, 0 for 2. He's flown out twice in this ball game. So Todd at the plate for the Warriors here with one out in the bottom of the fifth inning. LaFrenz pitch and that's a little low for ball one. 1 ball, no strikes. Carson Streeter waits on deck for the Warriors here. Bottom of 5, 1 out, nobody on. Braden Todd at the plate. Here's the pitch from LaFrenz. And that big breaker drops in. And the count now 1 ball and 1 strike. Tomorrow night we'll be on the air. Doubleheader, Cedar Rapids Kennedy in town to take on the Vikings, 5 and 7. That breaking ball high for ball 2. 2 balls and a strike now to Braden Todd here in the bottom of the 5th inning. Cedar Rapids Kennedy, I think last year's state champions, if I heard right, in Class 4A. Ooh, and that hit him. So the second batter hit by a pitch in this ball game by the Viking pitching staff. So Todd goes down to first base. And now at the plate is Carson Streeter. He's at first base now. So Streeter at the plate here now. He was walked twice in this ball game. Todd is at first base. Here's the pitch, and that's outside for ball 1. So Carson Streeter at the plate here for the Warriors. They've had runners at third in 2 different innings, but have not been able to push a run across. Here is the 1-0 pitch, and that's outside for ball 2. 2 balls and no strikes. Streeter at the plate for the Warriors, trying to get something going here in the bottom of the 5th. Here's the 2-0 pitch as Todd leads off first base. The pitch now, and that's a strike on the outside corner. And the count now 2 balls and a strike. Streeter has 22 runs batted in on the season. 2 balls and a strike. Rex LaFrenz on in relief for the Vikings. And there's a fly ball down the right field line out of play. And the count now even at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Ike was the leadoff batter. He flew out to Weimer on the fair foul line in right field, and then Braden Todd was hit by a pitch. Now Streeter has a 2-2 count, and that's fouled back out of play, and the count stays even at 2 balls and 2 strikes. So 2-2 the count here. I see Rex's dad here at the game. Here's 2 balls, 2 strikes. Takes a look. Now he's ready to come home. And there's a fly ball deep now, back, and that gets off the fence for a double for sure. Here comes Todd. He's going to try come all the way in and score, and he is going to score. Here's the throw at third, and Streeter is safe, and he has a triple for the Warriors to right center field, and he's going to get the third and have the RBI. It's now 7-1. The Warriors have a run on the board as Braden Todd comes all the way home to score here in the bottom of the 5th inning. So that triple by Streeter, and he gets the RBI. And now at the plate is Jamie Zweibaummer, the left fielder. So Zweibaummer at the plate, and that pitch just a hair low for ball 1. So the Warriors on the board here is Braden Todd was hit by the pitch. And then Streeter with a triple to right center field makes it 7-1. Streeter at third base, and that pitch is outside for ball 2. 2 balls and no strikes to the batter, Jamie Zweibaummer, in the bottom of the 5th. Streeter at third base. Here's the pitch, and that's a called strike in the outside corner. And it's 2 balls and 1 strike to the batter, Jamie Zweibaummer. So the Warriors on the board here in the bottom of the 5th. Then a runner at third base. The pitch, and that's just outside, and the count goes to 3-1. Boy, just off the edge. So now Zweibaummer backs out and now is back in the batter's box. LaFrenz now takes a look at Streeter. Here's the pitch home, and that's low for ball 4. And Zweibaummer goes down to first base, and so the Warriors threatening again here. They've got 1 run in. They've got runners at the corners. And now Eric Grieve at the plate, but now Coach Alex Zwanziger wants a timeout. We'll take a quick break as the Vikings lead 7-1, but the Warriors have runners at the corners with one out. We'll be right back.
South Winneshiek Sports brought to you by La Luena Savings Bank, Community Insurance of Iowa and Oshet, Hawkeye Telephone Company, Drilling's All Season Sports, Paramount Insurance Group, Kelmer, Neil's Auto Body, U2 Barbecue, Quick Auto Repair, and Marge Smith Electric and Solar. Decorah Sports brought to you in part by Kingpin Entertainment Center, Voltmer Electric, Dental Associates of Decorah, Farmier Insurance Agent Mike Rakitich, Pennington Repair and Sales, JB Holland Construction, Raymond James DeCuvalier and Brent Van Sloten, Elliott Jewelers, Epic Wear, Oneota Financial, Olson Explosives, Countywide Plumbing and Heating, Decorah Bank and Trust, and Hubden Oil.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We are set to go here now. The conference over, and Eric Grieve at the plate with runners at first and third. One out for the Warriors. They've got to run in. That pitch is low for ball one. So Eric Grieve flew out deep to right center field, and a great catch, as we said earlier, by Gavin Knutson. Then was walked in the third. 1 ball and no strikes to Grieve so far at this at-bat. Here's the pitch from LaFrenz. Ground ball right back to LaFrenz. Going to go to second base to get the force out there. The run's going to score. He's safe at first. And so the Warriors have their second run on the board as Streeter scores from third, and Zweibaummer is out 1-4 for out number 2, and Grieve reaches on the fielder's choice. And so 2 runs in here for the Warriors, and 1 hit so far, and now Sid Hesse at the plate with a runner at first. That's Eric Grieve. Hesse at the plate. 2 runs in. Ooh, and that hit him. So Sid Hesse gets hit by the pitch. And so Hesse gets hit by the pitch. He goes down to first base. Grieve goes down to second base. And Hayden Teescotter steps to the plate for the Warriors here. Bottom of the 5th, the Warriors have 2 runs in so far and have runners at first and second with 2 outs. Here's the pitch, and that's a called strike at the letters. So Teescotter at the plate. Also, baseball walk-on beat Anamosa 8-1 here tonight. So we must be one of the last games going. Here's the pitch, and that's outside for ball 1. 1 ball and 1 strike. Thanks again, Darren, for all the scores. So the Vikings trying to work out of this inning, and the Warriors trying to get some more runs. We're in the bottom of the 5th. 7-2 is our score. That pitch is high. And the count now is 2 balls and a strike to Hayden Teescotter for the South Winneshiek Warriors. Grieve is at second. Hesse is at first. Here's the 2-1 pitch now from LaFrenz. There's a line drive into right center field. That's a base hit. They're going to send the runner. Here's a play at the plate, and it's going to be not in time. And the Warriors have a 3rd run in there on the base hit by Hayden Teescotter. The 2nd hit of the inning, the 3rd hit of the game. So Teescotter gets the run batted in, and the Warriors have Grieve to score for the 3rd run of the ball game. Hesse is at second base and Teescotter at first. Now Caden Meyer steps to the plate, grounded out twice in this ball game. So Caden at the plate, 2 on, 2 out, same situation. That pitch is low for ball 1. So now you can just feel a little bit of momentum changing here over to the South Winneshiek Warriors. It's 7-3 here in the bottom of the 5th. Here's the 1-0 pitch. And that's high for ball 2. So Caden Meyer at the plate. Saw Dad earlier. Helping get the field ready to go. Here's the 2-0 pitch. Now LaFrenz takes a little time, looks at Hesse at second. The pitch And a swing and a miss for strike one. So Meyer at the plate, 2 balls and a strike, 2 outs, 2 on here for the Warriors. They've got 3 runs in the bottom of the 5th. And the pitch, and that's low for ball 3. And the count now 3-1 here to T. Scotter with 2 on, 2 out. The Friends ready to go. Here's the pitch, and that's outside and high for ball 4. So Meyer gets the base on balls. The 5th given up of the game, and now we've got time again by Coach Zwanziger, and it looks like Elliot Berland's going to come in to throw here for the Vikings. So Berland is going to come in here with 2 outs, and let's take a look at Elliot's pitching so far this year. Elliot is 2-0 on the season. He's pitched 10 innings. He has given up 14 hits, 12 runs, 10 of those runs earned. He's walked 4 and struck out 4, and has a 7.0 ERA on the season. So Elliott's going to get his warm-up pitches. We're going to take this quick break. We'll be right back.
South Winneshiek Sports brought to you by La Luena Savings Bank, Community Insurance of Iowa and Oshet, Hawkeye Telephone Company, Drilling's All Season Sports, Paramount Insurance Group, Kelmer, Neil's Auto Body, U2 Barbecue, Quick Auto Repair, and Mark Smith Electric and Solar.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We've got a good one here in Kelmer, 7-3 right now. Warriors have bases loaded now with 2 outs, and the Vikings have Elliot Berland coming in to pitch to try get them out of the jam. For the Warriors, it'll be Carver Winholt coming to the plate. So we are set to go here. This has been a good one. The Vikings jumped out to a 7-0 lead, and now the Warriors coming back with 3 runs so far here in the bottom of the 5th, and they've got bases loaded and 2 outs. And Carver Winholt at the plate. He is grounded out twice in this game. So we are set to go. Berland, a right-hander and a junior for the Vikes, set to go. Here's the first pitch, and there's a base hit into left field. That's going to score 2 runs. We're going to have a 7-5 ball game. Wow, it has changed here as Hesse scores and Hayden Teescotter scores for the Warriors. And that's the base hit for Winholt, and 2 runs batted in. And there's runners at first and second. Now Meyer is at second, and Winholt is at first, and that is the 9th batter of the inning. And now we're going to have, let's see, we're going to have a courtesy runner. Cameron Eink is going to come back in and run. He's going to run for the pinch hit, or the designated hitter, Caden Meyer. So now this will be Jordan Eink up here, the 10th batter of the inning for the Warriors. They've got 5 runs in here. It's 7-5 now. Berland's curveball in there for a strike. That thing dropped down and got at the top of the zone for strike 1. So Jordan Eink at the plate here for the Warriors, the leadoff batter in their lineup. Runners at first and second, 2 outs. And there's a ground ball foul down the third baseline. And the count quickly 0-2 to Jordan Eink. Braden Todd waits on deck, hopes to get a chance for the Warriors. So earlier in this inning, Jordan Eink flew out to Weimer at second base on the fair foul line, right on the right field line. So this is Jordan Eink at the plate with an 0-2 count. Here's the pitch, and it's a pop-up in the infield. Weimer's underneath of it, makes the grab for out number 3. But the Warriors get 5 runs in this inning on 3 hits, and it is 7-5, and we will take this quick break. We'll be right back.
Decorah Sports, brought to you in part by Kingpin Entertainment Center, Voltmer Electric, Dental Associates of Decorah, Farm Bureau Insurance Agent Mike Rakitich, Pennington Repair and Sales, JB Holland Construction, Raymond James de Cuvalier and Brent Van Sloten, Elliott Jewelers, Epic Wear, Oneota Financial, Olson Explosives, Countywide Plumbing and Heating, Decorah Bank and Trust, and Hubden Oil. Decorah Sports.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We've got more pitching changes again, and now this time it's for South Winneshiek as Braden Todd is going to come in and throw. He's 3-0 on the season. He's pitched 16 1/3 innings. He's given up 12 hits, 5 runs, and 5 earned runs. He's walked only 1, and he struck out 32 for them. He has a 2.15 ERA, and so he is on the mound here now. 7-5 is our score. We're headed to the top of the 6th. And, guys, this has been a fun one, hasn't it? Yeah, a lot of fun. I got a couple people in the booth. Dave Anderson, of course, the voice of wrestling for the Decorah Vikings and for Northeast Iowa. And we are ready to go. Braden Todd finishing up his warm-up pitches now. And Timp goes back to first base. And let's see if we have Streeter in the game. I don't see him right now. Do you guys see Streeter out there? Okay. So Braden Todd finishing his warm-ups. And, boy, what a game. The Vikings got 1 in the first, 6 in the second for their 7 runs. Or, excuse me, they got 5 in the second for their 6 runs. Then they got a run in the 5th for their 7th run. And it was 7-0, but then the Warriors come back in the bottom of the 5th, and they get 5 runs of their own. It's 7-5 here now. And so Braden Todd on now for the Warriors. So Todd comes in the 6th, and he'll be facing Caden Hubka and Lucas Weimer and Gus Pohl, the first 3 scheduled batters for the Vikings. So a good one here in Kelmer. 7-5 is our score. Braden Todd on the mound now for the Warriors. Here's his first pitch to Hubka, and that's a called strike. So 1 strike. Braden Todd, a right-hander, a senior for the Warriors. Here is the 0-1 pitch, and the breaking ball, swing and a miss for strike 2. So Braden Todd comes in here in the top of the 6th, and a 7-5 game here from Warrior Field. Here's the 0-2 pitch now, and swing and a miss, strike 3, and out number 1. And now that'll bring up Lucas Weimer, who's had a great defensive game for the Vikings. Steps to the plate, 0 for 2 here in this ball game. The Vikings 7 runs on 6 hits in this ball game. There's a breaking ball in there for a strike. That's a little quicker breaking ball than we have seen by a lot of the pitching here tonight. So Weimer at the plate, 0-1 the count, and that's called strike 2. So 2 strikes, to Lucas Weimer. 0-2 is the count. Here's Todd's pitch, and it's a ground ball right back to Todd. He's going to toss it over to first base for the out. 1-3 for out number 2, and that will bring up Gus Pohl. Gus Pohl started on the mound, now is in right field for the Vikings. So 2 outs, nobody on. Braden Todd on here in the top of the 6th for the Warriors. First pitch, and that's a called strike. I have him throwing all strikes so far in this inning. Has not thrown a ball. And I jinxed him right there through his first one. 1 ball and 1 strike is the count now to Gus Pohl. Gus got a double and scored in the 2nd, got a single in the 4th. And he fouls that one back to the screen. It's 1-2. So he's 2 for 2 in this ball game so far. So 1-2 is the count. 2 outs, nobody on. Here's the pitch to Pohl. That's outside. And the count's even at 2 balls and 2 strikes. So Gus Pohl at the plate here. Big shout out to his grandpa John and Karen, his grandma. Here is the 2-2 pitch, and he fouls that back, had a good swing at it there, and the count stays even at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Grant Knutson waits on deck, hopefully gets a chance here for the Vikings. Here's the 2-2 pitch now, and that's inside for ball 3. So 3 balls and 2 strikes. The count is full here. We're ready for the payoff pitch. As Todd readies, here comes the pitch. And that's called strike 3. And the Vikings go down 1-2-3. 2 strikeouts for Braden Todd. We'll take this quick break. We'll head to the bottom of the 6th in a 7-5 game. We'll be right back.
Decorah Sports, brought to you by Winneshiek Plumbing and Heating, Total Tree Care, Westside Dental, Barney's Bar and Grill, Decorah Tire, Tri-State Doors, Hacker Nelson Company, Don Anderson Insurance, Deco Products, Kelly Real Estate and Building Systems, Toppling Goliath Brewing Company, Grizzly, Paul Hudson State Farm, Hubka Construction, Compi Solar Shop, Olsgaard Auto Sales, and Daryl Farley Construction.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We've got a pitching change again now, and this time it's for the Vikings. And for the Vikings in the bottom of the 6th, it will be Ethan Kennan coming on for the Vikings here in the 6th inning. And let's take a look at some stats for Ethan Kennan. So Ethan has a record of 1-3. He's pitched 16 innings. He's given up 20 hits, 18 runs, 13 earned runs. He's walked 5 and struck out 13. Has a 5.69 ERA for the Vikings. So the sophomore left-hander on the mound here is, this game has really gotten to an exciting point in this game here. 7-5. The Vikings led 7-0, and then 5 runs for the Warriors in the bottom of the 5th. And we have a 7-5 ball game. Kennan now on here, and he is the 4th pitcher of the game for the Vikings. And so now Kennan comes on in the 6th inning, and now it'll be Braden Todd at the plate. So Braden Todd will lead it off. He was hit by a pitch and scored in the last inning for the Warriors. So Braden Todd leads it off here in the 6th. And that pitch is inside for ball 1. So 2, 3, 4 in the batting order for the Warriors here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Braden Todd at the plate, 1 ball, no strikes. And that pitch is a called strike. Ethan Kennan on the mound now for the Vikings. So it started off with Pohl and then Rex LaFrenz, and then it was, for the Vikings, it was Elliot Berland. And now there he's hit by a pitch. So Todd gets hit by a pitch for the 2nd time in a row, and he goes to first base. And now Carson Streeter at the plate. He's walked twice and tripled in this ball game and has an RBI. So Streeter at the plate here. The tying run at the plate right now here in the bottom of the 6th. Here is the pitch by Kennan. And that is a base hit into left field, left center field. Let's see, he's going to try, Todd's going to try, get to third, and he is in there sliding in head first. And the Warriors have runners at 2nd and 3rd with nobody out here as Streeter doubles. And boy, that is a big, big hit there for the Warriors. And now it will be Jamie Zweibacher at the plate. He singled in the 3rd inning and was walked in the 5th. And so, boy, the tying run at 2nd base for the Warriors, and they're going to walk him, intentionally walk Zweibacher. So the intentional walk puts him down to first. We've got bases loaded, and Eric Grieve at the plate for South Winneshiek. Nobody out. Let's see what happens here. It's getting interesting. That's for sure. So Grieve at the plate, infield in at the corners, regular depth at short and at second base. So we will see what happens here. Eric Grieve at the plate, flew out deep to center in the first. And the pitch, and that's inside for ball one. So lots of drama here in Kelmer. Bases loaded, nobody out, bottom of the sixth inning for the Warriors. Here is the 1-0 pitch now from Ethan Kennan. And that's a called strike on the outside corner. So the crowd, both sides really getting into it now. 1 ball, 1 strike, bases loaded, nobody out for the Warriors here in the bottom of the sixth. The pitch, and that's outside. And it's 2-1 now to Eric Grieve. Sid Hesse waits on deck for the Warriors. So the Warriors' big inning was the fifth. They got 5 runs, and now they've got bases loaded here in the sixth. Nobody out. And there's a fly ball to right field, and is it going to be caught? No, it's going to go to the fence. 1 run is in. 2 runs are in. They're going to send in a 3rd run. And here's the play it's played at the third, and South Winneshiek leads 8-7. How about that? As they intentionally walk Zweibacher, and Grieve comes up and gets a triple down the right field line, and that scores 3 runs, and the Warriors now lead it 8-7. What a change in events here in Kelmer. How about that? Grieve, a big triple down the right field line, scores Todd from third, Streeter from second, and Zweibacher motors all the way around from first base. And the Warriors now have an 8-7 lead in the bottom of the sixth inning. Nobody out and a runner at third base. Sid Hesse at the plate. Ooh, and that gets away from the catcher. Here comes the runner from third. The play at home is not in time. They say that he got in and touched the plate. Boy, it was close there. I didn't know. I thought they might have had him blocked at home. But he's safe at home, and it's now 9-7. What a close play at the plate there. And it is now 9-7, the Warriors lead. These last 2 innings, they've got 9 runs in the fifth and now in the sixth. And Hesse at the plate with 1 ball. And that's a called strike. 1 ball, 1 strike to Sid Hesse. Wow, this game has turned into something else here in these last few innings. Here's the 1-1 pitch from Kennan. And that is fouled out of play. And the count now 1 ball and 2 strikes to Sid Hesse here in the bottom of the sixth. 4 runs in on 2 hits. A walk and a hit batsman, intentional walk, that's fouled back. And the count stays at 1 ball and 2 strikes. Sid Hesse at the plate for the Warriors. Nobody out. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Ethan Kennan ready, and that is ball 2. Checked his swing up there. And it's 2 balls and 2 strikes as Hayden Teescotter waits on deck for the Warriors. Bottom of the sixth inning, 4 runs in so far by the Warriors here. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Swing and a miss, got him swinging for out number 1. And that's going to bring up Hayden Teescotter. So it started off, Braden Todd led off the inning. It was hit by a pitch. Then a double by Carson Streeter. Then a base on balls, an intentional base on balls to Jamie Zweibacher. Then the big hit, Eric Grieve with a triple down the right field line. Hayden Teescotter at the plate now. And that pitch is low for ball 1. Hesse was the first out, and now Hayden Teescotter at the plate. 1 ball and no strikes. Ethan Kennan on the mound for the Warriors, for the Vikings. And it is Hayden Teescotter at the plate for the Warriors. 1 ball, no strikes. Kennan is ready. Now the pitch from the windup. And that's a called strike. 1 ball, 1 strike now to Teescotter. He flew out to second base in the second inning. He grounded out in the fourth and got a base hit and an RBI in the fifth. Here's the 1-1 pitch. and that's outside for ball 2. So the Vikings sailing along, leading 7-0, and now the Warriors, all of a sudden 9 runs in the last 2 innings, lead at 9-7, and that pitch is outside, and it's now 3-1 to Hayden Teescotter, the third baseman, a freshman for the Warriors. Set to go, Kennan, the lefty on the mound for the Vikes. Here's the pitch, and that is a called strike on the outside corner. And now it's 3-2 to Hayden Teescotter, batting .400 on the season. So Teescotter ready, and so is Ethan Kennan. The pitch by Kennan, and that is ball 4. As Teescotter walks, the second walk of the inning, 1 intentional, 1 not, and then a batter hit by a pitch. So Teescotter down to first, and Caden Meyer, well, no, we're going to have a pinch hitter, and that will be Cameron Eink is going to bat for the Warriors. So Cameron Eink at the plate.
Ready for the Warriors, number 5, Cameron Eink.
So Cameron Eink steps to the plate. And there is a balk called on Kennan. So that's going to bring Teescotter down to second base on the balk. And I tell you, I've seen more balk calls this year than I've ever seen in a season. And so now we're set to go here as it will be Cameron Eink at the plate. No pitches yet after the balk. Now Kennan steps off the pitcher's mound, fakes a throw to second base. So Eink at the plate now for the Warriors, and that's Cameron Eink. Squares around like he's going to bunt. A throw down to second base, and it gets away from him. Oh, they almost fake it. They're going to go, but he doesn't go. So Teescotter stays at second base. Cameron Eink at the plate. So Cameron Eink batting here as a pinch hitter in the bottom of the 6th inning for Caden Meyer. Teescotter at second base. Kennan is ready. Now the pitch, and it's a bunted foul down the third baseline. 1 ball and 1 strike is the count now to Cameron Eink. Here in the bottom of the 6th, 4 runs in so far in this inning for the South Winneshiek Warriors, and a runner at second base with 1 out. Teescotter at second. Here's the 1-1 pitch, a bunt, and it is a bunted foul again, and the count 1 ball and 2 strikes now to Cameron Eink. Eink batting for Caden Meyer here in the bottom of the 6th inning. The Warriors had 5 runs in the 5th, and now 4 more runs in the 6th so far. They lead it 9-7 over the Vikings. Here's the 1-2 pitch as he squares around to bunt again with 2 strikes, and that pitch is low, and it's going to go even now at 2 balls and 2 strikes. So Cameron Eink at the plate takes a look down to Coach Smith in the third base coach's box here. As Ethan Kennan comes on here in the 6th inning. Here's the 2-2 pitch now to Eink. Takes a look, ready to go home now, and he bunts that one, bunts it back to Kennan, throws to first base. The runner, Teescotter, goes to third, so a sacrifice bunt. 1-3 for out number 2. And now, let's see, we're going to have a timeout again as Coach Zwanziger is going to make a pitching change again. He's going to put in Kane Monreal-Rice. So Kane Monreal-Rice is going to come in to throw here for the Vikings. Let's take a look at Kane's stats here. So Kane Monreal-Rice comes in. He has pitched 10 innings, and he has given up 8 hits, 6 runs, 6 earned runs. He's walked 7 and struck out 5, has a 4.2 ERA. He's going to get some warm-up pitches. We're going to take a quick break. Thanks again to all these great Decorah and South Winneshiek sports sponsors.
South Winneshiek Sports brought to you in part by Green Lawn Care. K Company Ag, your Pioneer dealer. Truck Service in Oshet. Citizen Savings Banks of Port Atkinson, Spillville, and Protivin. Southwind Insurance, Heritage Mutual Agent. Howard's Tire and Repair. Fidelity Bank and Trust in Kelmer and Oshet. Dietzenbach Financial of Kelmer. Pivo Brewery in Blefta Studios. Superior Building Center of Kelmer and Monona. Becker Hardware and Dave's Collision Shop. South Winneshiek Sports brought to you by La Luena Savings Bank. Community Insurance of Iowa and Oshet. Hawkeye Telephone Company. Drilling's All Season Sports. Paramount Insurance Group, Kelmer. Neil's Auto Body. U2 Barbecue. Quick Auto Repair. And Marge Smith Electric and Solar.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We are still getting some warm-up pitches for Kane Monroe-Rice, the senior pitcher for the Vikings, getting his last few tosses in. The Vikings took the lead in this ball game 1-0 in the first inning, and then came back with 5 more runs in the second to take a 6-0 lead. Then in the top of the fifth, they got 1 more, and they led it 7-0. And then the South Winneshiek Warriors took over in the bottom of the fifth. They scored 5 runs in the fifth. They have 4 more here right now in the sixth. Here's the first pitch, Kane Monroe-Rice, and it's a called strike there for Carver Winholt. So Carver Winholt at the plate takes the first one looking for strike 1. Here's the 0-1 pitch, and that's called strike 2. Nice job, Kane Monroe-Rice coming in and throwing strikes. It's 0-2 now to Carver Winholt. He had a base hit and 2 RBI in the fifth. And there is a line drive into center field. That's a base hit, and that's going to score another run. It's 10-7. The Warriors coming up big as Carver Winholt has 2 hits in a row and 2 RBIs and 3 total in this game. And it is now 10-7. 5 runs in the fifth and 5 runs in the bottom of the sixth so far. And now Jordan Eink, the 9th batter of the inning for the Warriors, steps up here in the sixth with 2 outs. And that pitch is low for ball 1. So 1 ball and no strikes now to Jordan Eink. He was hit by a pitch in the first, and he's grounded out and flown out twice. 1 ball, no strikes, Kane Monroe-Rice, and he throws over to first base on in relief for the Vikings. Started with Gus Pohl in this ball game. Then it went now to Rex LaFrenz, then to Elliot Berland, and then it went to Kennan. There's a base hit up the middle. Boy, the Warriors have the game going now. It's 10-7, Pat. 10-7, the Warriors lead. The Vikes were up 7-0, and the Warriors have come back in the last 2 innings with 10 runs in the 5 in the fifth and 5 so far in the sixth. And there's another base hit there for Jordan Eink, and now that'll bring up the 10th batter of the inning, and that is Braden Todd. He started it off. He was hit by a pitch as the first batter of the inning. So the Warriors, 4 hits in this inning, as I have it for them. They've got 5 runs in. Runners at first and second, 2 outs. Here's Braden Todd's second pitch, and that's a ground ball to third base. Hubka steps on the bag, gets the out for the Vikings, and that is it. But the Warriors come up with 5 runs on 4 hits, and they lead it 10-7 here. We'll take this quick break. We'll be right back.
Decorah Sports, brought to you in part by Kingpin Entertainment Center, Boltmer Electric, Dental Associates of Decorah, Farm Bureau Insurance Agent Mike Rakitich, Pennington Repair and Sales, JB Holland Construction, Raymond James de Cuvalier and Brent Van Sloten, Elliott Jewelers, Epic Wear, Oneota Financial, Olson Explosives, Countywide Plumbing and Heating, Decorah Bank and Trust, and Hubden Oil. Decorah Sports brought to you in part by Jason Knox and Associates, Casper Plumbing and Heating, Truck Country, Plain One Financial, Wicks Construction, Car Auto Group, Perry Novak Electric and Solar, The Whippy Dip, Riser Financial, Viking State Bank and Trust, Finhall Construction and Triad Kitchens, Benefits Inc., Bruning Rock Products, and Wise GMC. Decorah Sports, brought to you in part by Dutrack Community Credit Union Decorah, Don Anderson Insurance, Vicks Plumbing and Heating and the Nordic Heart Showroom, Fairway Decorah, Letterworks, Oneoto Physical Therapy, Viking Safe Store, Bonesteiner Implements, Jim's Appliance, JW Kitchens, Fireman's Inn, Hy-Vee of Decorah.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We go to the top of the 7th inning. The Vikings trail 10-7 here. And it will be for the Vikings. Grant Knutson leading it off for the Vikes. So Grant, he has been busy. He's walked twice and scored twice in this game. First pitch in there for a called strike. Braden Todd faced just 3 batters in the 6th when he came in. So Braden Todd on the mound for the Warriors. 1 strike, and there's a swing and a miss for strike 2. So here's the 0-2 pitch now. The Vikings trying to get this base runners, and they need them now. They got to have 3 to keep this one going. Here is the 0-2 pitch now to Grant Knutson. And that's fouled back out of play. And the count at 0-2. So 2 strikes is the count to Grant Knutson. Kason Tyler to follow then. Gavin Knutson here for the Vikings. Vikings got 1 in the 1st and 5 in the 2nd and 1 in the 5th. Here is the 0-2 pitch. And swing and a miss, strike 3. Down goes Knutson for out number 1. As Kason Tyler steps to the plate here now for the Vikings. So Kason Tyler at the plate.
Number 14, Kason Tyler.
So Kason Tyler got a base hit in the 1st, walked and scored in the 2nd inning, and flew out in the 5th. There he's fouled it back for strike 1, had a really good rip at it. And then the Warriors trailing 7-0, as we've said, 5 in the 5th and 5 in the 6th, have the 10-7 lead now over the Vikings. Here is the 0-1 pitch now to Kason Tyler. And that's fouled back out of play. Had a good rip at it again. And it's 0-2. So Kason Tyler at the plate for the Vikings. 1 out, nobody on. Braden Todd in relief. He's the 3rd pitcher of the game for the Warriors. Here is the 0-2 pitch now. And that's low for ball 1. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Kason Tyler here in the top of the 7th inning. And a 10-7 score, Warriors lead. There's a ground ball hit to the 3rd baseman. T. Scudder fires over to first base for out number 2. And it'll be Gavin Knutson at the plate here for the Vikings.
Back for the Vikings, the center fielder, number 1.
So Gavin Knutson at the plate. He singled in the 1st, walked in the 2nd inning, and grounded out in the 5th. So 2 outs, nobody on here for the Vikings. And Braden Todd on for the Warriors. Here is the 1st pitch, and that's outside for ball 1. Cale Reister, the youngster behind the plate, I think he's done a pretty nice job behind the plate. He's a young basketball player at Upper Iowa University. Boy, a great career at North Fayette Valley. Here is the 1-0 pitch, and that's a called strike. 1 ball, 1 strike to Gavin Knutson here in the top of the 7th. 2 outs, nobody on for the Vikes. And that's a called strike at the knees. So the Vikings now need some base runners. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Got to have something happen here if you're a Viking fan. And that's outside for ball 2. If you're a Warrior fan, you're trying to close it out right here. So for the Vikings and the Warriors, 2 different scenarios. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Todd ready to throw. Here comes the pitch. And that's high for ball 3. So 3 balls, 2 strikes now to Gavin Knutson for the Vikings. Here in the top of the 7th. Got to have a base runner. Here's the 3-2 pitch for the Vikings. And the pitch. And a swing and a miss, and that's the game. The Warriors are going to win this one on a comeback, 10-7 over the Vikings. What a tale of 2 games we saw. The Vikings scoring the first 7 runs, and then the South Winneshiek Warriors coming back and scoring the last 10 runs in the 5th and the 6th innings. They win it 10-7. Remember, I'll send this tape into Darren, and he'll put it on the SoundCloud page probably tomorrow morning. We'll see, maybe yet tonight. Tomorrow night we will have a doubleheader, the Vikings at home taking on Cedar Rapids Kennedy. And then Thursday night, Pat Wagner will have South Winneshiek baseball at Key High, a single game there. And then Friday night, I will be back here for South Winneshiek, and they will be a softball game as the South Winneshiek softball team takes on Waverly Shell Rock. That is on Friday night. But what a good ball game we had here. Boy, it had everything you would ever wanted in a game. I tell you, the Vikes off to the big lead, and the Warriors come back and win this one 10-7. What a ball game. Sure was a lot of fun. I sure appreciate all of you listening. Kari, thank you back at home for helping make sure we're on the dials, as well as Olaf tonight. Thank you very much. For all of us at LA Communications, this is Randy Iverson.